about some other specific tests that maybe we're quite familiar with that are used quite substantially. Let's talk about the empty can for a moment. Eric, when you think about the tests, do you use it first of all? And if so, why? If not, why? And then you've got a utility score here of 2. There's numerous tests that have been done on it, and probably a lot more since this book was written. What about that empty can?
Yeah, so I might save you time by pulling out the hit list of ones that you probably ought to just set aside for now.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, so the can, whether it's full or empty, probably not a test you should use. Neer's test is out. Hawkins-Kennedy test is out. The O'Brien's active compression test is out. Chad did a systematic review on that, and he knows that I presented on that test for years. And I always chuckle because, the original author had like 99% sensitivity, 98% specificity. And we were like, my God, it's a miracle. And then we did the quaddus to see what the quality of the article was as written. It doesn't mean that he didn't clinically do something that was valuable, but as the article was written, the quality of that was the lowest score I'd ever found in our research. So I pinned that one to my wall. And then, again, it's survived and more has been done since then, but Chad's systematic review caught all of those new studies. It's still not worth doing. And so that's the shoulder stuff. It's just not, there's just not great value there. And if we go down to the knee, a pivot shift is a very positive, very popular test for an ACL tear. And it's actually not very diagnostic if the patient is awake. And as a physical therapist, we work with largely awake patients, I'm guessing. So pivot shift is not one that you want to use with a patient awake. They splint a lot with that test. It seems like like one of those wrestling, like Worldwide Wrestling Federation, where they put you in the lock. So that's what that pivot shift feels like, and patients react to that, right? They're splinting already because they're like, my God, I have a sore knee, and this person looks like they're going to tear my leg off. So the pivot shift doesn't work. Frighteningly, although I still use them, varus and valgus tests at the knee. We don't know whether they're of any value or not. I suspect that they are, but I don't have research to support that really. And then, anything that you get that's sort of a meniscus test is always, kind of minimally diagnostic. There's not any great tests of meniscus tears, and there are lots of them. There are ones that aren't bad, but in the shoulder and knee, you can kind of discard much of what we've learned, unfortunately.
Yeah, Chad.
And we can talk about the good ones later so that people have some hope.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember when we were writing the book and we needed to get our chapters into Pearson, and Eric was responsible for knee and shoulder, which by far had the most tests in it. And every week there was a new study being published on the shoulder and the knee. I mean, everybody loves the shoulder and the knee, and they'd love to do diagnostic accuracy on that. And then you had poor neglected areas like the ankle foot and the thoracic region, in which nobody did research on. And it's just so, to me, it's remarkable to see such interest in given areas of the body. So going to the ankle foot, one of the things that I think is so remarkable is syndesmosis testing, which we think is pretty straightforward for a high ankle sprain. The tests, the clinical tests for syndesmosis testing are essentially useless. In fact, the single test that has the greatest diagnostic accuracy is the person's report of pain that is well beyond how severe the actual mechanism of injury looked. And none of the cotton tests, none of the dorsiflexion and external rotation, none of those tests are actually diagnostic. And we run into that throughout the body on a lot of what we termed were legacy tests that had been around forever. They've been in textbooks from day one, and they just carried them forward, and everybody used them in clinical practice. And it was eye-opening to us and fairly remarkable when we presented this. I mentioned earlier, we have taught this to physical therapists and physicians and chiropractors and athletic trainers. And it's eye-opening to that population too, sometimes in a very good way and sometimes in a very caustic way, that they didn't want to hear that their favorite particular test was not diagnostic.
Hear the entire episode for free on iTunes, Spotify, other favorite podcast players, or go to mechanicalcareforum.com.